Let me get this to the microphone.
Ladies and
back
gentlemen,
on.
this is your
And,
USA Cycle.
So we were talking about, Gary, the young ladies. It's one of those things like now. I mean, there's Icon One Triathlon Group, which for the juniors, a lot of young kids and everything are in it. And then there's running groups. There's your group. There's you've got a running camp that you do in the summer, which is totally packed with our fastest runners in the state, if not some of the country. So how do we get our younger? We know how the guys are doing it. There's a lot of bragging rights between guys, but how do we get our younger ladies involved with running, cycling, what have you?
Well, I think it obviously it starts with encouragement, and I know that one of the key words that you hear a lot in women's whatever it is, the women's marketing is
right.
Empowering. You have to empower these young girls to know that this is something they can do for themselves. It teaches them the value of hard work, whether they're in multi-sport, whether they're in cycling, whether they're in running, whether they're in lifting. I see so many different young women who figure that they realize that they can empower themselves by doing something for them and don't have to worry about everybody else. Just getting into an activity where they can work on improvement and setting goals. But it starts with just encouragement. And having the right people teaching them doing the right workouts and all this. I think there's a lot of programs out there that tend to tout themselves
right.
as a training program, as they have coaches when they don't coach anything, they manage systems.
I tell you what, because we've got you talk about managing systems and everything. We've got the Army Marathon Director Ed Bandis on the phone with us right now. Ed, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you doing today?
We're doing good. We're having a little bit of technical issues with my microphone, but we've got this fixed, I believe. So you've got retired Army. I don't even know what you were. Where were you in the Army? I know you were security.
Me?
Yeah.
I was a military policeman, retired sergeant first class.
Oh, I thought you were like a rent-a-cop or something. Anyway, so we've got a retired Army and coach extraordinaire, Coach Gary Brimmer with us. Ed, I know you guys have talked before and everything. And the Army Marathon's coming up. So what are we looking at up there in the beautiful town? Because Temple, Waco, that area.
Well, we're getting ready for number 2 right now, which is fantastic. In fact, we've been privileged in the fact that the outpouring of support is fantastic. We've got groups like Team Red, White, and Blue that are participating. In fact, we have the Army cycling team and the roadkill cycling team that are going to be running shotgun with our hand cycle racers as well, which I think is a tremendous benefit there. And starting this year, we actually have the Texas Army National Guard. They're going to be showing up with tents, vehicles. We're going to have some great photo opportunities. If you want to stand in front of military vehicles with your medal, that's going to be a great opportunity to do that. You might get a little drill instructor-style motivation on the way from some of our soldiers yelling at you as you're trying to make it up to the finish line. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just a tremendous community effort here, and it's going to be good.
So how's the point-to-point working out? I mean, logistically, that's got to be so much fun.
It's a labor of love, Mark. It's tremendous what we've done. All the community supported, obviously, when you're going through having to get approvals from TxDOT, all the city councils, all the police. We're going through 6 police jurisdictions on this, and everybody's been incredibly supportive on it. So, it can't go any smoother than it's going right now, and I just have to thank all of the law enforcement, the fire, the EMS, the city councils. Everybody has been tremendously supportive of this event. So I think, certainly for Central Texas, it's going to be great. A lot of people visiting, and but the most important thing is just the charitable aspect, coming out to say thank you to our heroes. We're going to have probably as many, as much as 25-30% of our runners are going to be active duty folks participating. So it's just a wonderful time to say thank you by showing up,
Hey Ed, this is Gary. I have a question for you. How many, what are you looking at total participants expected this year in your events?
Right now, we're sitting at about 1,000 total. By the time the next couple of weeks roll around, we get the Austin Marathon over and done with and all that stuff. We're looking at probably about 1,300 to 1,400 total participants, knowing that the 5Kers are going to be the last ones to sign up. And that's like last year. That's where we got a tremendous boost, is people jumping in right at the last minute for the 5K. But then again, we also have the half marathon, which is our first time this year that we're doing that. That's going to be a really scenic course in that it goes across Lake Belton Dam twice. And they get exposed, I think I mentioned this last time, to the Army Navy. It's a flotilla of boats that's going to be down at the bottom of the dam cheering runners on from the water also. So we figure we're going to end up about anywhere from 30 to 50% higher than last year in terms of enrollment. It's still, we're not one of the big giant ones yet. Someday we'll get there.
Well, I guess that's what we always tell folks is, we obviously we all been to runs and races and stuff like that, where you go to a cycling race or a triathlon or a running race and they have maybe 50 to 100 participants and they're like, oh, we really wanted 5,000 people. But were they ready for 5,000 people? Or did they have enough toilet paper for 5,000 people? I mean, it's just one of those things. And that's where, like you said, you're growing, so you're getting the lessons learned knocked out of the way. You're getting all the growing pains out.
Well, no doubt. And we've got some great people working with us. Obviously, David Grice from Austin, Texas, has done a great job coaching us through a lot of the stuff. But then you also have to understand that our philosophy from the very beginning is we're not spending all of our loose cash on marketing and media. It's all going towards things like police support, medical support, traffic control, everything that makes a race good from the participant side. We figure if we can put on a good race, it's going to grow. Last year we got some pretty decent reviews from some experienced runners because, we had 2 medical personnel at every water stop. We actually had 9 ambulances, a helicopter, a disaster relief mobile medical unit, a couple of hundred police officers on course at any given moment, and just a tremendous amount of traffic control to make sure that we had a good, safe, well-supported race. If we can do that every time, it's going to grow, and especially as people get to learn about our mission and our charities and what we're really trying to accomplish here. So, we'll just keep doing things the right way, and it'll happen.
Yeah, I think as a runner and as a coach, I always tell my athletes, I'm always wary of first year races that really overpromise, and then we have issues with the Porta Johns not being where they're supposed to be, and no crowd control at the start, finish line not organized, the race not being properly marked or properly measured, and so that's why I love to hear what you're saying. Where you guys. For everything I've heard, it sounds like you guys are perfecting and growing appropriately as you go along. That's great to hear.
Well, I appreciate that, Gary. I mean, you're military, Mark's military, I'm military, and at the end of the day, there's a process that you go through to make sure that you've, all the checklists. Do we have this? Is everything marked? Did we get the water? Did we get the food? Are the police in place? Do they know what they're supposed to do? Last year, for instance, especially because of the week after Boston, most people didn't realize this, but we had multiple tactical teams on standby off the course, ready for anything to happen.
Oh, I remember, not to cut you off, Ed, but I remember when the dogs and everything were walking under my stage, and I was going, hey, I'm okay. And they were like, oh, yeah, don't worry, we're going to check your area. And I'm like, oh, no, you're really scaring me because, I thought, something's going on until all the tactical teams walking up to me and everything. But yeah, go ahead, Ed, go ahead.
Well, that's exactly the point. It's not like we were announcing, oh, by the way, there's dog teams all over the course. But
right.
You know what? There's dog teams all over the course. We have SWAT teams standing by. There's a lot of security that we have in place because even if we're small, like it or not, we have a name that kind of sticks out, and we have to live up to that name. Even if we're a nonprofit and not associated with any U.S. government agency, there's a level of expectation that we're going to do things professionally and completely. And so we want to live up to that in every way we can. And at the same time, you know, one of the interesting complaints that we heard last year was, well, you know, that was a great race, but there was really nothing about it that was Army except for the name.
Well,
you know,
I don't cut you off. I don't want to cut you off either, but you're Marine and I'm Navy, so that says a lot. Just want to put that out.
Hey, you know, we all bleed green. Let's just say that.
That's right.
And
I'm just giving Gary some grief here because, you know, he's an Army guy. So,
well, put it this way: there's so many embedded jokes in this whole thing that, you know, we're just going to say that at the end of the day, it's the mission that counts. You know, I mean, we all came out there. You too, Mark. I mean, you came out there because of the military charity mission. You know, if you stop and read some of the stories of the folks that we helped, geez, I almost don't even want to hear them because it brings tears to my eyes what we've done. And so I would rather just focus on executing, you know, the plans on this race and make it a good race and not get all teary-eyed because, you know, there's some very moving stories here. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here. So that's why I tell folks, man, just you can roll out of bed and do a 5K in the morning. You know, come on. You can come out, show your support. All of these guys, and Gary, you'll understand this too, we've got kids doing, you know, they're in their mid-20s and have done 6 to 8 deployments. You never heard of that in Vietnam or any other time in our history.
No.
And, you know, these are the folks that we're trying to help in the long run, but at the same time, it's great for Central Texas, man. There wasn't a whole lot of this going on, and now we're able to bring people to a nice area of Texas that, you know, previously didn't have a whole lot nationally going on.
Yeah, and one of the things that touched my heart, obviously being military and everything, and the causes, like you're saying, is what drug me to you in the first place. But there were so many families that were out there running because their loved ones or their friends or their whoever were overseas. And they're like, this is my tribute to them. I can walk this 5K or do this marathon in tribute to them because they're going through so much. So it was really, really touching. You see so many family and friends that are out there running for somebody who's not even on U.S. soil.
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to be announcing a shadow run, too, in Afghanistan probably within the next few days because we've been in contact with some friends out there forward. And so we're going to be sending them some shirts and medals, too, to run the first shadow run for the Army Marathon. But, yeah, you're right, Mark. I mean, at the end of the day, you were there at the finish line. You remember the 2 guys high-fiving everybody at the finish line?
Oh, yeah, I remember those young men.
Well, those young men were supposed to just be there for the first male and first female and ended up standing out there for 7 hours straight. One of them was retired Lieutenant General Dave Palmer, who was a former superintendent of West Point, who felt so moved by this entire thing. He stood out there high-fiving runners coming across the finish line. People didn't realize they were high-fiving a 3-star general at the finish line.
Yeah, and he stood. I mean, that's a key point right there is he stood the 7 hours. He didn't go sit down in a chair or anything. He was out there the whole time that we were out there.
Exactly. Gary, you would have been proud of this soldier. Jeez, man.
Well, you know, just to let you know, the girl that won is actually one of my runners. And she's a former West Point attendee. She graduated from West Point and is also a military policeman. Her husband is still active duty. They're on the East Coast now, so I actually coached her.
I didn't realize.
Yep.
Man, I didn't realize you had that connection to her. I've talked to her also, and again, stories and people who moved me very much. And watching her come across the line first, I don't know if you noticed, but one of the more scenic pictures featured on our website is her approaching the finish line. Yep. She is a tremendous runner. God, I mean, she's
super fast.
Yeah.
Little beast.
So, Ed, we're going to close out here pretty quickly, but so what does everybody need to do to help out this incredible cause? Obviously, the Army Marathon. So, where does everybody need to go online to find out more information?
Thank you, Mark. It's real simple. You go to thearmymarathon.com. That's TheARMY marathon.com. On there, you can click on registration. You can see some of the information. We've even posted maps now on traffic control and parking, so you can see where best to approach it, and shuttle buses and things like that. thearmymarathon.com.
There you go, folks. And they have a 5K as well. It's called the 5 Clicks. Come on out there and enjoy us, because the 5 Clicks actually starts where the marathon's going to finish, and we're going to have so much fun out there. So come out and enjoy us. Join us on March 2nd. That's a beautiful Sunday. Great venue, great course. If you can't do the marathon, you're like, oh, I need to train for this, you can run the 5K. Come out there and enjoy us. Go to thearmymarathon.com and more information. Obviously, we're going to do this every week until the marathon, and obviously we're going to be having some fun there as well.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing everybody there. Thanks, Gary. Good talking to you, too.
Take care, Ben.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. So yeah, that's a great run, and I remembered that you had a runner that was running it, but I totally forgot about that.
Yep.
So we're gonna play a quick commercial break, folks. We're gonna come right back with Coach Gary Bremer. That's GaryBremer.com. And you listen to Mark from ISpeakForYou.net. We'll be right back. Thursdays, Races and Events is presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your T-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragonTees.com. Oh, yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Crossman, World Class Drum Corps, and I Speak For You Racing Events want you to save the dates. 13 and 14 June 2014. That's right, the Crossman, Texas's only world-class drum corps, representing San Antonio, Texas to the world, presenting their second annual 1 mile run, walk, stroll, crawl, whatever you need to do. How fast can you run 1 mile? All information on ispeakforyou.net or crossman.org. I say save the dates 13 and 14 June. The run is on the 14th, but the 13th is their MMX, their dress rehearsal, before they go out on tour around the country. Find out more information again at crossman.org or at ispeakforyou.net. So the Crossman 1 mile, got Coach Gary Bremer in the studio with us, Mark from ispeakforyou.net, of course, GaryBremer.com. And we've got multi-time national champion Kat Moore on the phone.
Hello.
Hello. Kat's like, hello. So, Kat, you're one of the fastest cyclists in the world that I know of, male or women, it doesn't matter. But you're also one of the toughest cyclocross racers I know, which has a little bit of running in there. So, Coach Gary Bremer is this incredible running coach. Do you do any running, Kat, by the way?
Well, that's my background. I was a collegiate runner at Baylor University.
At where?
At Baylor.
Never heard of it. Never heard of Baylor.
Yeah, never heard of Baylor. So, yeah, I had a running background, but I got into cycling because of running injuries. So cyclocross was just an easy pickup because of the running, and it was a lot like cross-country running, something that I really digged. So it's probably one of my favorite cycling events.
So is that why I always saw you smiling at cyclocross events, because you're like, woohoo, I get to run?
No, I just it's not that I like to run. No, I just love cross, and I love the atmosphere in cross, and everyone's out there to have a good time, and even on your bad day, you're out riding your bike, and what could be better than that?
Right.
So,
right. So, of course, Kat Moore racing for Hot Wheels Racing Women's Pro Team. I've seen you on that beautiful machine, that beautiful Guru and everything. And obviously one of my favorite pictures is you laying down with a pillow on your handlebars on the trainer, which I know you're not sleeping on your bike and everything like that. But how is it looking this season for you? Because being a national champion, everybody knows who you are, and basically you got a bullseye on your back.
Yeah, it definitely puts a bullseye on your back. But, it was through dedication and hard work, and I think people recognize when you dedicate yourself to your sport and the hard work it takes to win a national championship. But that's a good thing. I like competition. I strive for competition. So the more there is, the better you'll compete. It makes you rise to the next level.
Yeah, because you're a Baylor Bear, and Gary and I have been talking about like Mary Kane, the young ladies that are coming up through the running ranks and everything. How do we get? And I pose this question to Gary, but how do we get our young ladies? Basically we're gonna feature the ladies today. How do we get our young ladies involved in our sport? What do we need to do to get them more involved in enjoying it?
We need to do mentoring programs. Christina Goki-Smith up in Denton has started a mentoring program where you mentor new or beginning riders. That's the key, is to find someone who's young, get them interested in the sport, or even it doesn't have to be a teenager, but finding someone who wants to get into the sport and ride with them and show them what to do. I think of it as a lot of women are intimidated because it's you see what I knew of cycling when I was growing up was the Tour de France, and it was like 21 days on a bike for how many hours, and we just need to start them off baby steps. A lot of girls cross over from other sports, endurance sports like running, because of injuries. So that's another thing, scope out the collegiate runners who maybe have injuries and get them to come aboard. So you just have to also go to the high schools. The Texas is now has a high school cycling league, right. So that's one way to get people involved. You have to let them know it's just not a male sport. It's for women as well. And women do, they compete really well against men. There's not that big discrepancy like in power sports. So there's a mental toughness that's there. So.
Yeah, because it's a lot of things. I mean, we've been to a lot of the big races and stuff like that where the women, and we talk about equality all the time, about the women aren't getting paid as much, the women aren't getting the same much respect as the pro men do. But you guys are working just as hard, so I don't fathom why the women don't get the same amount of pay.
Yeah, and it's getting better. We've had a lot in cross. This past season, we had 3 national calendar cyclocross races in Texas. All through Jeff Lucido with the Cross Syndicate, but one of the days in Waco, the Saturday race, and both Saturday and Sunday in Garland. So there was equal pay. I think 3 deep was equal pay, but top 10 got paid out, which was very nice. It was very unheard of. Down in Houston, the Bayou City Cycling Club, they had a $500 purse, and it was like the ladies' weekend. That they just, ladies got to go first when they had us racing with the men's 3, and that really kick-started a lot of the promoters to changing the women going before the men's 3, because it would affect the faster women's race, because we would get caught up in the slower traffic of the men's 3, and that could be a make or break in the race. And they let the women go first, and from that point on, we had many races where we got to go before the men's 3s, and so it really, I think, was an eye-opener, because a lot of the men thought that they were going to catch all the women really quick.
Right.
And it took, I think, one race, the last lap, before they caught us.
So you've traveled around the country and raced in some pretty big events and everything like that. Where do you see the sport going? Obviously, running. You've come from there, but where do you see the sports going? Because Gary and I have been running since the early '80s, if not late '70s, and it's one of those things like the running shoes really haven't changed or evolved that much. The gear hasn't really changed or evolved that much, but in cycling, it's changed obviously from the 30-pound bikes we used to ride to the Wonder machines we do now.
Oh yeah, the technology. I memean, I started riding in the early 90s, and my first bike had down tube shifters, and so just going from down tube shifters to STI to now the electronic shifting where you don't even have to touch the bar.
Yep.
And it's shifting. It's just a little tap. And the wheels, just the lightweightness of all the equipment is, and how aero everything is, even down to, your, like our Via 13 clothing, how technology is built into all the apparel and how to make you more aerodynamic and in your helmets. So before it was like, oh, just put on a pair of shorts and a T-shirt and off you went. And now it's everything has a purpose, and you want it to be very, tight fitting or have a performance edge to it.
Now, I'm going to pose this question to you and Gary both, but you coming from running from Baylor or running for Baylor and everything like that, did you ever put in cross-training on a bike or CrossFit or anything like that? I mean, did you ever say, okay, I don't want to run today, I'm going to go ride my bike? I mean, how does that work? Because Gary's a coach, and he's got some elite women that does the Olympic trials and stuff like that. So I want to pose that question to you. Did you ever cross-train on a bike when you were a pure runner?
Yes, I did, because I had I could not run more than 50 miles a week. If I hit 52 to 55 miles, I would get stress fractures. So that's how I got into the cycling. And so we would build in cycling with my coach a couple of times a week, where during cross-country season, twice a week, I just rode my bike and would run in water. To keep the stress off my legs, and the cycling helped. I dropped a minute off my 5K time and 7 seconds off my mile time from cycling.
Yeah, with me growing up and in my early development years as a runner, I was very lucky not to have any real injuries, but I was always interested in cycling. So I when I was, first in the Army, I had a road bike, and I rode probably 2-3 times a week. Trained with some triathletes out of Solana Beach, California. Had some pretty big names in that, so I learned how to cycle and learn the ins and outs of cycling. And so there was always a little bit of cross training. What a lot of people don't understand is any form of cross-training is good as long as your main focus is your main sport. But there's I want to say the lady's name was Carol Montgomery, was a Canadian triathlete, and she was a very, very good marathoner, and everyone told her, this is back in the mid-'90s, early '90s, everyone told her, if you just stop doing triathlons and get off the bike and get out of the water and focus on running, you'll become a much better runner. And she did that, and was coached by Kevin McCary out of San Diego for a number of years, probably 3-4 years, and actually got slower, went back to the bike and got back in the water, and qualified for the Olympics in the marathon, and also I think ran the 3,000 meters for them in the Olympics as well. So
yeah, so how does that work, Kat? I mean, did you find yourself slower? When you went back to running after coming off the bike. I mean, how does that work?
We kept the running. Or we kept the cycling in, even in track, but not as much. Instead of having days where I did no running, I'd bike in the morning and then I'd run in the afternoon. But as soon as we'd start pulling back the bike and increasing my mileage, within a few weeks I would have stress fractures. So the cycling was key. Running in the water was key to keeping me injury-free. I just back when I was running, the focus really wasn't on proper running form like there is now. And even the shoe technology is so different depending on how you run. Do you supinate, pronate? Are you a heel striker? Are you a toe runner? And so I had some weird running form, and, we worked on it, but it was just the way I ran. I was called a truck puller. That was my nickname. So it wasn't very pretty, but it got me across the line.
Well, obviously you're one of the fastest ladies on the planet on a bike right now. And how important was that running coming into your cycling career? I mean, obviously your cardio was there, but how did it transpose into your muscle fitness?
Well, you have that endurance already built in. So immediately from being, a mid-distance runner, I went into cycling having that cardiovascular fitness. So the transition was easy in that aspect. The part that was hard was, learning to turn your bike, the cornering skills. So all that, the bike handling skills was the thing that you had to learn, and the proper pedal stroke. Because when you first go in, it's a lot of this, you want to mash on the pedals like you're running.
Right.
So you have to learn to be smoother, and, I was taught, you're thinking like you have mud on the bottom of your shoe and you're trying to wipe it off when you're pedaling. So that was one thing I had to work on, was that, and just going out and riding my bike. We have this cemetery here, and we would go ride the bike in the cemetery and just play like follow the leader, where you'd have no idea where someone was turning, and you'd have to make those, sharp, fast corners.
Right.
And so just doing that kind of stuff over and over.
So there you go, folks. Cat Moore from Hot Wheels Racing. You follow him on Twitter at Hot Wheels Race. We were talking about technology real quick, and I want to talk about your bike real quick before we get you off the air. How is that Cobb saddle holding up for you?
Really good. At first, it took a while not a while, but, you're so used to, one saddle, and those are some important things. Probably the most important things, is your saddle and your shoes,
right.
Where you're sitting. And it's great because you can be super far forward on that saddle. I wasn't the issues with your soft tissue area. I wasn't I wasn't having issues like I was before. Not needing as much chamois cream, and so it's been great so far. I can't wait to get it out and this weekend at the Ira Stanger road race.
Yeah, because you and the ladies are going out to the Ira Stanger Road Race, the Hot Wheels Racing team, again, the fastest ladies on the planet on two wheels and on their feet, because you're not the only runner on the team. There are some other runners. Obviously, you got Mandy Heinz, pro triathlete, is now just going pure into cycling. You got 2 wins already this season. How's it looking for the ladies? How comfortable do you feel with this team going into this beautiful season?
Really confident. All the girls are great on and off the bike. We all get along. We all have the same goals of promoting our team, promoting cycling, and being the best that we can be. We have high expectations for ourselves, but we know that we're just beginning. And you have to, we may not get all the results that we want at the beginning, but we have to build up. And that's the beauty of the team is we're all working women. 2 of us have kids, and so
that's a job in itself.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Because I'm a stay-at-home dad, and the 22 years in the military, I was like, that can't be that hard. I think I've done more work as a stay-at-home dad than I ever did in the military.
Yes, and mine are. They're teenage. One's Darius about to turn 13, so we're at that hormonal stage right now where everything's a roller coaster, crying 1 minute, laughing the next. So I'm like, oh gosh.
Now,
No.
are your girls following in your footsteps on the bike? Are they runners? They play soccer? I mean, how you being such an incredible athlete, where do your girls fit into this?
Well, my oldest daughter, Daria, she started playing tennis. Both Daria and Sophie like to ride bikes, but it's a little intimidating for them with their mom and their dad being such big cyclists.
Right. I was thinking the same thing.
So we don't push the cycling at all with them. We don't even take their bikes to events unless they ask us to. Because I don't want to be one of those, like football, soccer moms who are like, you have to do this. But Daria loves tennis, and so she's actually really, really good at it, and she just wants to play tennis, and so that's what we're doing with her. Sophie, she just marches to the beat of her own drum 1 minute. She wanted to do swimming, but she just wants to play in the water, not really swim unless it was synchronized swimming, because they're supposed to do laps, and she'll be underwater, and it's like, where is she? She's just doing somersaults over and over and over again. So,
right. And you talked about real quick about mentorship for our junior cyclist runners, the ladies and stuff like that. Gary coaches some of the fastest lady runners on the planet, I'll say, in the junior ranks. Now, how important is it to get them to where they're not, they're sitting there at 13 and they're doing really good on the bike or in the run or whatever, but they're also doing that when they're at 23 or 33 or 43.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so how do we get them to enjoy the sport longevity and not just as a junior?
Well, like as a junior, you really there has to be a balance. As with anything in life, there has to be a balance. If there's not a good balance and you're so, hyper focused on one thing, if it can then just turn on you and then all of a sudden you hate it. So with juniors, you want to make sure that they're enjoying the sport. I've seen it numerous times where, something bad happens in the race or they hear negative comments and all of a sudden they don't want to be a part of it. They'd rather be, hanging out with their friends, having a good time. So, but they also need to know when you get to a certain level, there's, the competition rises and, just like in any sport, people aren't always as nice as they need to be, and they forget that these are just little kids. The one thing that Texas is doing right this year, they started the women's 40-plus 3-4 category, which I think will help get older women into bike racing, where a lot of them were intimidated to race in the 3-4s with these younger women who are in their 20s. So that's been great. And at the race this weekend, I think there's already like 8 40-plus women signed up for that category.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I echo what you say about teaching the right things as the athlete progresses, whether in age or ability or performance. And I think one of the things that I continue to repeat, not only to my younger athletes, but even my 20-plus, 30-plus, and 40-plus athletes, is you got to continue to make it fun. I treat, whether I have a marathoner, male or female, that's simply trying to finish their first marathon, break 4 hours, qualify for Boston or qualify for the Olympic trials, or whether it's a high school athlete who's trying to make varsity, make JV, qualify for state, win state, whatever. I treat them all with the same amount of expectation and the same amount of discipline requirement for their craft, regardless of their ability group. But I also try to continue to make sure that it's fun and that there's an enjoyment and almost a community feeling within my little training group. So there's a lot that we can do as coaches and mentors to continue that, whether it's male or female, but especially for our females, because I want to keep, this is a lifestyle that I've been doing since I was about 12 years old. And I want to be I want to be that old guy that everyone's clapping for when he's 80 years old, shuffling across the finish line one of these days.
Hey, I'm looking at winning the national championships when I'm in my 70s. So I got time.
You're trying to be Fred Schmid?
I'm trying to be Fred. Yeah, I got time. I got time. So it is one of the things. Kat, I know you're a very busy young lady, and I appreciate you calling in.
Yes, I got to go back to painting boxes for Valentine's Day.
Yes, do that, Mom.
Well, no, this is my pre-K kinder class, so.
Yeah, I just picked up Shelby from her pre-K class, and they had their Valentine's party today. So she's full of sugar right now, and she should be going to bed, but that ain't gonna happen.
Yes, I try not to load my class up with sugar, so they're sweet enough. They don't need anymore.
Here we go. Well, thanks, Kat. Kat Moore, Hot Wheels Racing. You follow them on Twitter, Hot Wheels Race, and, of course, online, hotwheelsracing.com. National champion. Kat, I look forward to seeing you.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. One of the fastest ladies on the planet. Ran for Baylor. I didn't even know that. I knew she was a runner, but I didn't know she ran for Baylor.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Runners. I have a couple runners that actually do cyclocross. One of my runners one of my Olympic trials qualifiers out in Michigan actually does some cyclocross as well. So it's a popular sport.
It is very popular. It's getting bigger and bigger because, one, you don't have to worry about roads. The dirt's a little bit more lenient when you fall because you're going to fall. It just happens. And it's just amazing. Now, you've got a lot of things coming up, obviously. Boston coming up for you here in the very, very near future. How's the running coming for you?
Personally, for me, the running is coming very, very well. Fitness has come along very nicely. I have Austin Marathon with 3 or 4 of my runners.
Right.
So things are coming along well, and I'm looking forward to Boston and some spring marathons.
So got Gary Brimmer in the studio. It's Coach Gary Brimmer. Of course, you follow him online at GaryBrimmer.com. And now I've got Melissa, who puts on some of the greatest mountain bike time trials in the world on the phone right now. And we've got number 3 of the series. There's a 3-race series. There's number 3 of the series, but I know she's itching for more things to do. So the series, of course, is called the Triple Threat Mountain Bike Time Trial. It's on Sunday, McAllister Park. First rider off is at 9:01. So you got plenty of time to get up in the morning, eat breakfast, and head over to McAllister Park here in San Antonio. But what I like about it is you're a young lady and you're putting on one of the best mountain bike races in the country.
Well, thank you, Mark. That is very, very sweet of you to say. It's kind of fun. One of the guys approached me about doing it, and I said, why not? Accepted the challenge, and I think it's been really good. Every time we've had about 100 riders, which is perfect. It's a perfect course for beginners or experts. Anybody can do it, and it's just about going out there and having a good time.
Now, you putting on the mountain bike time trial out there, would you ever consider putting on an 8-mile cross-country run out there? Or a cross-country run, for that matter? Because I know in high school we used to run McAllister Park all the time, and I know there's a lot of trail runners and stuff, but you run the gamut. I mean, obviously you put on other events and everything, but would you consider putting on a cross-country run out there?
I kind of leave the runs to all of the running stores in San Antonio because they seem to do a really good job putting on runs. But I will tell you that I am looking to put on a duathlon out at McAllister Park this fall. So.
Well, this is Gary Brimmer. I would challenge you to not leave it to the running stores because I think there's so much more and so much better quality races that can be done within the area and something different. And I would tell you that I think a pure cross-country race, an open cross-country race, would be extremely popular in the early fall. After summer, I think it'd be something that'd be very well received, and a nice change of pace from the regular road races, regular trail races. I'm talking something in grass and mud, running, whether it's just a 3K, 5K, and get some of us other than high schoolers out there and running some pure cross country. I think it'd go over very, very well.
Look at that, Gary throwing it down. Wow,
I know. Geez, so much pressure. I thought we were talking about the mountain bike race.
No, I mean, the mountain bike race is awesome and everything, but you put on such a great event. Somebody called me yesterday and says, and he's a runner. He doesn't have a mountain bike. He said, I can't go to Walmart and get one of those $50 specials or anything. But would she put on a cross-country run out there? I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
No, it's definitely a great idea, and I will take that into consideration. How about that?
She's such a politician. Oh, I'll take that into consideration. So what are we looking at this weekend?
Sure.
Obviously, folks, you can go online, go to BrittonBikes.com, go to your 4 favorite bike shops here in San Antonio for more info. But if you go to BrittonBikes.com, there's a link on there, or the Hill Country Sports Association. You can look on there as well. But what are we looking at for this Sunday for the finale?
So I'm hoping the weather now is cooperating with us. So hopefully it'll be another gorgeous day out there, and we'll have about 100 riders. Ride-away bikes will be out there. They have mechanics out there and technical, people to help everybody. You'll be out there, Mark, with your music, having a good time. We have, pizza party afterwards and award door prizes, all kinds of stuff. So it's just kind of fun. You can bring your family. There's enough pizza for usually everybody to have some afterwards, so it's just kind of a good time.
Yeah, and the cool thing is the start line and finish line are right there by the huge playground. I think it's called Pavilion number 2 or something, but the huge playground right there. So the kids can actually play while the moms socialize, or the dads socialize and moms race, or dads race, what have you, because that's what my children do. They sit there and they play and have a good time on the playground while we work and have fun.
Yeah, we kind of made it towards more of a family event. It's just kind of open to everybody. I usually bring out little snacks and stuff too for the riders for afterwards. So it's just kind of it's a serious race, but it's more of a fun race than anything. So
right. So what would you like to put out about the mountain bike time trial that you would love to see more of this Sunday?
What do you mean?
Would you like a lot of people out there just to come out and spectate, or?
Oh yeah, I think it's always more fun when you have people out there cheering you on and rooting for you and stuff like that. I think that would be fun to have a lot more people out. I think also this time what we're going to do is for our younger kids, if any of you have younger kids that you want to bring out there, we're cutting off some of that technical section. I've been talking with Dawn the Soul about that, cutting off the technical section so that the kids who are 9 or 10 can still partake in the course, but we cut off the technical section so it's a little bit easier for them.
That's awesome. Of course, folks, like I said, go to BrittonBikes.com, or if you're in the area, stop by there. Stop by Ride Away Bicycles, your 4 favorite bike shops. Yeah, Bicycle Heaven. Stop by, see Matt and the guys over there, and get more information about it. Come out there on Sunday. Like I said, you can wake up, have your frijoles or whatever, and then come over and join us. The first rider off is at 9:01, and then it goes from there. And if, like we always said, if you have a mechanical, or you go down, or you have a little mishap or whatever, there's a redo that starts at about 11 o'clock, we'll say. And so you can go back out there and actually do the course twice and see just how fast you can do.
Right. And also, you don't have to be a beginner to come out and do it. Anybody is welcome to come out and do it.
And we can get Gary Brimmer out there to run the 8 miles to see if he can run it faster than some of the folks ride their bikes.
There you go.
He's like, yeah, I don't think so. Again, Melissa Britton, thank you very much, young lady, for calling in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Mark. We'll see you Sunday.
We'll see you Sunday.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah, that's a great course, man. It's a little bit technical. It's flat. Obviously, it's on the trails of McAllister Park. We've all run them, and I think that'd be cool to have a cross country run out there in McAllister.
Right. I think that's one of the things that we, the diversity in different running events. And I'm talking pure running events. I don't count the gladiator runs and mud runs as those are fun events to do, and they get people out there moving. But I'm talking something that people are going to have to put on the calendar, do some work, do some specific training for it, and go out there, and it would be a lot of fun. We have a USA Track and Field Federation that I don't think does enough. Doesn't do enough.
Right.
Events like that, whether it's track meets. There's some communities in this country, Southern California, their USA Track and Field committee puts on city championship, cross country races, their track championships.
Yeah, because you talk about city championships, that's coming up. I think March 1st, the Diploma Dash is City Championship 5K. And I remember that used to be the big deal. Huge. If you were the 5K champion or the 10K city champion, I mean, it was a big deal. And now it's like, oh, yeah, it's basically another 5K. Really, oh, that's the winner. But you don't get recognized that you are the fastest in the city.
Yeah, back when I was out in Southern California, they even had in San Diego, they had a year-long series.
Right.
And it was distances of 5K all the way through the marathon. The marathon they used was the San Diego Marathon, which was the original marathon in San Diego. It was in late December, early January, but they started it. That was the last event for that quote-unquote series, and you got points based upon 20 for first, and then down to 20th place got one. And to be competitive, you had to compete in every one of the events throughout the season, and that's how you made. And I actually made money. I placed third in it one year, and that's how I ran my first marathon, because I needed to do something to push me out of the pack.
Right.
And I knew very few people were going to run the marathon, so I said, I'll run a marathon. So that's how I ran my first marathon, by trying to score points in the.
And now you're getting ready for your upteen the Boston Marathon.
Third Boston,
but folks, a lot of folks are like, oh, Boston Marathon, that's nice, but the Boston Marathon is the granddaddy of the marathons. You really had to qualify for it. A lot of the folks do charity work to get there, but it's the Boston Marathon is incredible. So we talked about it real quick, because I want to and Kat was talking about how on the cycling races, a lot of times they start the women separate from the guys, and I know at Boston. Or is it New York? I'm having brain fart right now. But they start the women well advanced than the elite guys.
The elite, Boston as well.
Right.
You have to be the women are sub 3, and it's a much smaller crowd. But they start a segment of women at Boston, as well as New York City. They give them they start first. And the reason why they do that in both those races, the elite women can actually race. And they don't have the guys. What they've had in the past, especially in New York. They'll have the guys jumping in with the women and running and racing with the women. So you have there was one I saw Joni Benoit almost go down one year, 20 years ago, almost go down because the crowd was the guys were all trying to crowd around the women, and this allows the women to race with themselves. It makes it a little lonely for, say, someone who's a 245, 250 marathoner, because she's out there all by herself.
Yeah, she's in no ladies' land, basically.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And so they actually do that as well. My women, I have two girls that are running Boston this year. Anita Cuyano from San Antonio and Jen Smith from Dallas. Jen is a sub 3 hour marathoner. She's 254, but we're not going to try to put her into that advanced start where she's going to just start in corral 1 and go with the masses. Same with Anita. Anita will improve on her 3 hour PR as well. So
yeah, because you don't want the pressure and the stress and everything.
Right. I don't want them out there running by themselves. I want them running with someone else.
Now, I met and talked to Andrea Duke yesterday, who won New Orleans Rock and Roll on Saturday. And she says she's training with Liza Hunter Galvan and everything, and she's looking to come to San Antonio and win Rock and Roll San Antonio or do well at it, which is a whole different ballgame, because now we've moved Rock and Roll San Antonio to December, the first weekend of December, because you never know what the weather's going to be. Right. Because it was really hot on us in November when we just did it. And then I did the BCS marathon as the announcer, and it didn't get over 35 degrees. So that could come into play for a lot of folks that run in the Rock and Roll San Antonio this year.
Yeah, and once again, I won't have any of my runners running the marathon. We'll support it by running the half.
Right.
It'll be that time of the year. It just doesn't work for us for the races that we have scheduled on. But that's great. I think it'll do better. Weather-wise. Of course, this year was horrible,
crazy hot.
And then even I did Rock and Roll New Orleans this year. I ran the marathon. I paced a couple of runners, and even running 8-minute pace. It wasn't, the temps weren't all that hot. It was just really, really humid out.
Yeah, I think she said it even rained.
It rained on us.
Yeah.
About an hour into the run, we got about 30 or 40 seconds of a downpour.
So before we shut off, I want to get your point on your point on this, because everybody's always asking me, why are you riding outside? Get on a trainer, go to do a spin class, whatever like that. But I'm like, hey, race day weather doesn't know, or the weather doesn't know race day.
It does not,
because you can be training in a gym or on your treadmill, and Dina Castro does it. God bless her heart, and I know folks that do those. There are certain times, and we've talked about this, that the trainers or I'm talking about trainers for the bikes or a treadmill is appropriate.
Exactly.
But if it's a race coming up, your A race is coming up, you really want this race, you don't know what the weather's going to be, so you've got to be acclimatized to say, mentally, I will say. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's raining on race morning and you go, man, this is going to suck, but you've already been running in the rain, you're like, oh, I can do this. This is easy.
And there's something to be said about the discipline of just getting through a workout when the temps are not perfect. My group has not missed a day. Through all this weather, whether the ice weather.
Yeah, because you guys did a 4:30 a.m. run this morning.
You see us.
That's crazy.
Well, in the day that we got that ice storm last week, we met at 4 a.m. in Helotes and we did our workout. And the roads weren't all that bad then, but we've done so. We've delayed by a couple hours some workouts, but my group has not missed a day. And I don't know since when. I mean, I have to tell some of my runners, okay, it's your turn. You need to take a day off. But my group is meeting. There's 5 to 10 of them that meet every day somewhere in San Antonio, whether in the Helotes area, Drury Inn, Brandeis High School, Helotes, you name it.
Yeah, because you're doing track workouts as well.
We're doing track. We're doing tempo. Today was just an hour and a half steady. There's something about the discipline. Once you get in that routine, then the weather. The weather's the weather. There's nothing you can do. If the weather's too hot, then you make a decision whether or not you're gonna. That race is all that important to you, or we have a B race, jump in and do another one. I had a girl that at Rockville, New Orleans, at 12 miles said, "It's not working, Coach. I'm gonna do the half." And so I had to get 18 miles in. So I said, "I'm gonna keep on going." So I went to 18. I said, "Oh crap, I got to get back now." So I ran the whole full. I'm
laughing about that because you're like, "Oh, the weather." And Michelle at Rock and Roll Marathon, obviously she helps us out on the announcer stand, and she goes, "Oh, if it's this hot at BCS, I'm not running." And I was like, "Okay, well that morning." It was not that hot.
Remember, Dallas got canceled that day.
Dallas was canceled, but Bryan College Station still ran. And again, it sleeted on us a little bit, and it didn't get over 35 degrees. And she finished her first and only marathon, she says. But, of course, now she's saying, if I run the next one, I'm really going to train for it. And I was like, you've already said you're going to run another one. So, I mean, as soon as you say if, it's over. But, of course, folks, if you want to pick Gary's brain, it's GaryBrimmer.com, and he'll get you his information out real quick. But I tell you what, you can't, you have a coach and you have folks that are telling you, or you're reading on Runner's World online or whatever, but until you've actually strapped on the shoes and done what you need to do, you got to get a hold of Gary Brimmer. It's GaryBrimmer.com, and we're going to find you on Twitter and all that fun stuff.
Twitter is GBrimmer1, GBRIMMER, the number 1. And then CoachGaryB@gmail.com. I'll answer all questions. I have no problem with whatsoever.
Yeah, because he's not just an elite. He has couch potatoes like myself and stuff like that, and folks that are like, hey, I just want to finish 5K, and he can get you there to that finish line. Coach Gary Brimmer, again, at GaryBrimmer.com. We'd like to thank everybody for calling in and obviously listening in. Gary, do you have anything else you want to put out?
Hey, have some good runs and good rides, and be safe.
Hey, let's talk about it real quick. And I know there are people like, oh, they're going to shut down and everything, but let's talk about it real quick. Generation UCAN. Generation
UCAN is a new approach to sports nutrition. Instead of pumping a bunch of glucose and sugar into your body a gel every 30, 45 minutes and upsetting your blood glucose levels, and it's just a steady blood glucose levels. It doesn't mess with your insulin levels. You don't need to drink anything during. It's a pre-race drink. It's a cornstarch-based carbohydrate. It's processed in a way that it burns very, very slow. One serving is 2 hours of energy. 2 servings is 3 hours of energy.
Nice.
You can pick it up at We Run San Antonio, Edgar's new store out on I-10 near the Dominion, or you can also pick it up at Solar Sports. Those 2 stores just brought it into their. They finally got it into their stores on their shelves.
Yeah, like he said, finally, because I've seen it at Lifetime and everything like that. But
Lifetime has it as well. I'm very excited as to how with the future that this. It's a new approach. It's groundbreaking. I'm a big fan of it. You can go to if you go to YouTube. And it's Generation, the letter U, can.
Right.
And if you go look at some of their videos, that they have some phenomenal information on how the stuff works. Drop me an email if you want any more further information about it. It's really good stuff. can't say enough about it.
It's incredible. We're going to talk a lot about more next week. We're going to start out the program about Generation UCAN. We're going to talk about the stick, how it can benefit you, the authorized, the real stick, not something that you can go buy a PVC pipe at Home Depot or whatever.
Yep.
But you've got to get the stick. We're going to talk about that next week, and also what can you do for spring racing and get ready for it, because it's going to be over 80 degrees in San Antonio this weekend. And I know the folks in the southeast and northeast, take cover. Please be careful out there because we know the snow is getting to you. But we're going to talk about spring racing, because before we know it, it's going to be here, and then we're going to be talking about fall marathons and all that fun stuff. But we're going to talk about Generation UCAN, how it can help you out. It's good for you, good for your body, good for your soul. Gary, thanks for coming in. And again, the races and events presented by eDragonTees.com. We're going to play the commercial, and you can follow Gary. Go to GaryBrimmer.com for all the contact info. Whatever you do this weekend, please be safe. Remember, there's a 3-foot law. God bless, take care, and we'll see you at the races.
Peace.
Thursday's Races and Events is presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your t-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragon, TEES.com. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this segment brought to you by SanAntonioTriathlete.com for all your training, rankings, race, news, swimming and cycling safety, even wetsuit rentals. SanAntonioTriathlete.com. Oh yeah, come on home. CyclingSwami.com. Professional bike fits, custom footbeds, group rides, events, custom cycling clothing by Passe. Your Italian cycling outfitter from helmets and sunglasses by Solis. Get your SAG support for your next team or group ride and the world famous Ask Swami. Look for a coach, look no further. Easy to find and even a greater friend to our cycling family. Come on home to CyclingSwami.com.
Were you aware? Texas has a law that commercial vehicles, when passing a road user such as a cyclist, runner, or walker, must obey a 6 feet distance between said vehicle and the road user. Texas also has a law that all vehicles, when passing a road user, must obey a 3 feet distance. Can you see me now? 3 feet, 6 feet. It's the law.
Mark from iSpeakForYou.net. Do you like to play in the dirt? Do you like to ride your bike as fast as you can over a credible course? Then this weekend, the Triple Threat Mountain Bike Time Trial, number 3 of the 3-race series, is happening at McAllister Park. First rider off at 9:01, but you can register today. Online, go to BrittonBikes.com or check out 4 of these incredible bike shops, Britton Bikes. Of course, Action Bikes, Ride-Away Bicycles, and Bicycle Heaven. Stop by there, get the forms, sign up today. The race, again, Sunday, 16 February, McAllister Park Pavilion number 3. First rider off at 9:01. Medals, door prizes, and so much more. The Triple Threat Mountain Bike Time Trial this weekend. Presented by Hill Country Sports Association. Oh yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Crossman, World Class Drum Corps, and I Speak For You Racing Events want you to save the dates. 13 and 14 June 2014. That's right, the Crossman, Texas's only world-class drum corps, representing San Antonio, Texas to the world, presenting their 2nd annual 1-mile run, walk, stroll, crawl, whatever you need to do. How fast can you run 1 mile? All information on iSpeakForYou.net or Crossman.org. I say save the dates 13 and 14 June. The run is on the 14th, but the 13th is their MMX, their dress rehearsal, before they go out on tour around the country. Find out more information again at Crossman.org or iSpeakForYou.net. Thursdays, Races and Events is presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your t-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragon, Tees.com.